Are you ready to kick that 9 to 5 to the curb and start working for yourself? Maybe you have the drive and motivation to do some really big things in life and you're ready to see how it can go for you. Then becoming a solopreneur might be right up your alley. There's plenty of benefits of becoming a solopreneur, and in this episode 58 of the Uncompromising Entrepreneur podcast, Devon and I are going to give you 4 benefits of being a solopreneur.
Uncompromise, uncompromise, we uncompromise, uncompromise, and I got it. Look, what does it take for you to be great? Keep it 100, bro, you know the answer. Pursuing your purpose, creating profits, building legacy. Anything less, how could you even fathom? Just sit back and imagine all that can truly happen when you pursue your passions. Yeah. So eliminate distractions and get back to the action. That's the law of attraction. You gotta build a team to build a dream. Family, faith, and focus. Counsel can only build a king. Are you prepared to reign? Cause whether you weather the weather won't change. Whether you weather the weather, your weather won't change. Stay true to the vision. Stay true to the mission. Gotta get to the finish. Take a moment to listen. And come and see it through our eyes. We'll show you what it means to live uncompromised. We're uncompromised. 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 We're uncompromised. 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 We're uncompromised. Yeah. Uncompromised. We're uncompromised. We're uncompromised. Yeah. Uncompromised. Uncompromised. You're uncompromised.
Welcome to the Uncompromising Entrepreneur podcast presented to you by the uncompromisingcoaches.com. Do you have an entrepreneurial spirit? Are you constantly thinking about how you can create value and build new businesses? Maybe you're trying to find innovative ways of doing business to replace old, outdated ones. And you are looking to regain your entrepreneurial spirit so that you can pursue purpose, create profits, and build a legacy. Then this show is here for you. I am Jimmie Gonzalez Jr., and I am joined by my co-host, Devon Watts Jr.
What's going on, entrepreneurs? Devon Watts Jr., a.k.a. Stefan Jobs.
A.k.a. Stefan Jobs. Yes, we will get into that in a minute. If you are a loyal listener or if you're new, we appreciate you spending some time with us and investing some time truly in this podcast to learn more about really what it means to be an uncompromising entrepreneur. But please feel free to rate and review this podcast. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, we'd love for you to like this video and subscribe to the channel as well, and then share with another entrepreneur that you know will definitely, most certainly benefit from this content, because we are coming in hot. So, Stefan Jobs, we've been having some technical difficulties. It's just been one of those days. So talk to me. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. All you got to do, you got to laugh sometimes. So, yeah, we've had a little tech difficulties. Not necessarily pertaining to the pod of today's episode, but just my setup and internet and all this other stuff. And, I've had to spend some time figuring it out, spending some time putting kind of the final touches on getting what we've been building, the Uncompromising Coaching app in app stores. I know some of our listeners, this may be the first time you're hearing about it. Don't worry, it won't be the last. There's a hint drop, and then we're going to leave that real quick. But working on that stuff, and as far as like encryption keys and all this other stuff. And so, yeah, man, I just feel like I'm the Black Steve Jobs. I'm Stefan Jobs here recently. But aside from that, man, I'm in. I think honestly, it's just in general, like what is it? Denzel said, not Denzel. Dion says. Dion says, if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good, and if you play good, they pay good. And so I haven't been feeling good because I haven't necessarily been looking good. I've been going through that rough stage before I get a cut, but I'm getting cut up tomorrow. That'll help get me right. help get me right. I'll be, feeling myself. And then we're going to link up in person tomorrow.
Yes.
Between you and I, you're going to come down here, down south, and then we're going to link up with our boy Rico. So that should be a good time. So once all that happens, again, I'll be looking good. I'll feel good. I'll play good, even though I still play good. It don't matter. I'm a gamer. And then obviously for us, when we play good, for our Uncompromising Entrepreneur listeners, you guys pay good in the form of paying back with your attention, with listening, with engaging, with hopefully signing up for consultations and joining in on what we're building with the Uncompromising coaching group. So, yeah, man, I'll be straight. I'm excited to pod. What about you, man? How you feeling?
I'm good. I mean, hey, what?
Hey,
I saw my homeboy, my brother, Jazz, Mr. John Gray, this morning. So the beard is tight. This is for any of our power fans out there. This is my ghost look when I grow the beard out. But yeah, so I got tightened up this morning, so I'm feeling good about that. And congratulations to my boy Jazz. He's a grandfather. His daughter just gave birth, I think last Wednesday or Thursday. So just super happy for him, and continuing to kind of see
blessing. Not
what's super close, but close enough, God willing, in my future. But happy for him and the family, and for his daughter and his grandbaby, and so I'm feeling good, man. Then I went to the gym this afternoon. Felt much better than I did on Monday, because that was just. I felt like I was going to die on Monday. It was horrible. But today was much better. My performance was better. I felt strong. We were doing shoulder press. I don't want to diverge too much, but for any of our fitness fanatics out there, doing some strict press and some push press and, boulder shoulders. That's my thing. So that is some of my favorite movements. So I felt good, feeling good now, ready to pod. And just ready to really launch this next series where we start talking about solopreneur success and what that means, and just providing tips and strategies and even tools for our folks out there who find themselves in that space of being a solopreneur. So I'm excited about that. Definitely excited about seeing you, Enrico, and then seeing my son. I'm better to chop it up with Christian as well and spend some time with him. And this is not a sports podcast, but I think we would be remiss if we did not mention that I'm also, and I know you are as well, super excited about the weekend that is in front of us. Yes, it's Labor Day weekend, but with that comes college football. Yes. And then all was right with the world.
Exactly.
So
the only time it makes sense.
Is yes. It's beginning Labor Day weekend. So super, a lot of things to be happy and excited about. There's a lot of challenges and struggles still out there with folks and in the world. And I'm just thankful and, feeling blessed about where we're at, but, very keen on other people's situations and what's going on. So humbled at the same time, especially even some of our brothers. We've been very happy with the progress that we've been seeing with the fellas in the alpha test in that particular group. And, life, it is what it is, right? It throws you challenges and it throws you curveballs. And when you're looking to start a business as an entrepreneur, solopreneur, again, sometimes there's just going to be things that happen in life that will try to deter you from that. So you're just helping, it's in any shape or form that we can be, is just providing support, as well as tactics and strategy and the coaching that we're providing, but just being a support for our brothers that may find themselves in that situation as well. So, so all that to be said, I'm ready to go. Again, we coming in hot, launching this new series, Solopreneur Success. And as I mentioned in the intro, really what we want to do today is just break down what is it. I feel like it's a relatively new term, over the last maybe a few years or so. So what does it really mean to be a solopreneur? We'll talk a little bit about how that differs from being an entrepreneur. And then we want to make sure that we provide our uncompromising entrepreneurs out there for benefits of being a solopreneur. So I'm ready to go. I know Devon, a.k.a. Leadership Docent, a.k.a. Stephon Jobs, is ready to go as well.
think, like you said, it's timely that we kind of talk about this because you're right. The whole concept of a solopreneur is, kind of recent language or nomenclature to kind of identify or kind of talk about that person who is maybe grinding, maybe building out their business, maybe they're a freelancer, but they have no aspirations of building a team. So let's start off with just kind of defining what is a solopreneur and then really getting into how does it differ from being an entrepreneur. The simplest way I can explain it is that like a solopreneur is anyone who sets up and they run their business completely on their own. Like I mentioned, a lot of times you're talking about like freelancers. You're talking about maybe folks who are some type of like content creator. We talked about Jazz. We've talked about Henry Barbers, folks who are kind of in that space where you're responsible for building your own clientele, marketing, but you don't have a team that you either run or you manage. You truly are a solopreneur at the end of the day. And you may have a few people that you potentially collaborate with, but you're the one that's really taking all of the risk yourself with running the business, building out the business, securing clientele, the whole nine. Now, one of the things that you and I kind of talked about, I think it's important for our Uncompromising Entrepreneur audience to note is that being a solopreneur can actually be a transitional step to becoming an entrepreneur. We've obviously been exposed to that quite a bit with different clients that we've had the opportunity to work with or speak with or partner with, where the grand vision is I'm building this team, I'm building out this broader business. But until I get to that point of monetization, or getting kind of my ducks in a row where I can bring on the team and start building towards this bigger vision, I need to start monetizing my skill set today, right? How can I use the skill sets I already have at my disposal to fund my bigger enterprise that I'm in the process of building? Like a great example, we just did the NBA series. Hopefully you guys listened to our last NBA series with Luis Diaz, who is the owner of Podcast Domination. He specializes in podcast scaling and content creation marketing. And in our conversation with Lewis, one of the things that came to light was he initially got into this space as a solopreneur, just literally running the podcast like startup and scaling for different clients. He was doing all that work himself. And he used those relationships and he used monetizing that skill set to then fund the additional education, the additional master classes, certifications that he needed to build the foundation for his broader business, which became a podcast and content creation consulting firm, where now he's not necessarily, the one, opening up the Podbean account for you, but he's consulting with these content creators and these folks that have podcasts on what they can do in order to scale. And so his story is not unique. A lot of our entrepreneurs out there that are listening, maybe you find yourself right now saying, well, hey, I got a side hustle. I know eventually I want to make it a business, but I don't have things ready yet to make it a business. So what do I do? Well, the answer is start with being a solopreneur. Monetize your skill set today. And there's a bunch of different ways you can do that. We'll break that down in another episode. But at the core of it, that's really what a solopreneur is somebody who is running every facet of their business themselves and taking on the complete risk.
Yeah, when I think of, as you mentioned, kind of the difference between a solopreneur and an entrepreneur, the entrepreneur is more likely to manage others and delegate. And like you said, really building a team and having employees. As a solopreneur, that doesn't mean that you don't have other people and partnerships that you may be utilizing to help manage some of the aspects of your business, right? So like you may be having somebody who is an accountant for you. You may have a virtual assistant, but you don't have actual employees. For the most part, again, the solopreneur is really handling many, if not all, of these different aspects of the business. And again, you may be partnering with, when I say partnering, you may be collaborating with other individuals to get ideas and to help you with certain aspects, but you are running the business, you own the business, you don't have actual partners like you and myself. And again, you're not looking to manage other people and possibly delegate to them, which again is typically what entrepreneurs start to do as they really start to grow out that business itself.
Yeah, like you said, then you start adding on people with very niche skill sets to handle certain things for you, and your job is to manage them staying on top, like the broader vision, and them staying on top of their part to drive that vision forward. Where literally a solopreneur may be the one that's, pulling up the balance sheet and doing the accounting themselves, and the only time they get a second pair of eyes involved is like around tax season to make sure that their I's are dotted and their T's are crossed, or they're the one that's doing the sourcing and they're the one that's doing the marketing. So I think there's a lot, honestly, I think there's a lot of folks that, whether they know it or not, they operate, and that's why we've mentioned this before, but this adds more clear color to it. There's a lot of folks that operate as if they are solopreneurs, but call themselves entrepreneurs. Like they think that they're entrepreneurs, and maybe that's ultimately what you aspire to do. But your actions, in terms of how do you manage the business, how do you manage the different facets of the business, the risk, is really you're operating as a solopreneur. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But again, if you desire to be an entrepreneur, you eventually have to build a team. And that's why we keep talking about that when we talk about being an entrepreneur, being an uncompromising entrepreneur. It's very focused on that component of it, of how do you build a team? How do you build your business to the point where you don't have to be operator anymore? You can be owner. And a lot of solopreneurs wear the hat of owner-operator.
Yeah. I think of Robert Kiyosaki and the 4 quadrants of cash flow. So I also kind of think of a solopreneur as somebody who is self-employed, right? So you're not working for anybody else, you're working for yourself. But depending on the product or services that you offer, you're still tied, right, to the clients that you're working with. The cool thing though is that you still have the opportunity, again, depending on that space that you're in, to put processes in place to still help your business run, basically like clockwork, to make some of the aspects of running your business that much easier for you, saving yourself time in the process. So you mentioned like barbers. You mentioned freelancers. We know a few freelancers that are instructional designers, from a content creation perspective and that learning and development space. I think of coaches. We know a lot of life coaches as well, and those individuals would be considered a solopreneur, right? Again, they don't have any employees. They have their own business. They have all the different aspects as far as their website is concerned. Maybe they have funnels for marketing. They have their payment system set up. Maybe they have their own courses that they have built out as well. And again, all of that runs very smoothly with the process they have set up. But again, they don't have any employees or anybody that they really have to manage. When we think about most solopreneurs, they're not necessarily looking to build up this huge or this big empire. They really want to work for themselves. They like to make a good paycheck, and there's definitely money to be made out there as a solopreneur and somebody that would fall into this particular category. But they want their business to still be manageable enough so that they can make the majority of the decisions their own. Or maybe they truly enjoy as well the opportunity to control their own time, right? And to be able to work from anywhere, whenever they want. Once you start building a business where you have employees and you start to scale to that magnitude and to that level, it becomes a little bit trickier, right? Unless now you may be having managers. So using the example of a barber, maybe I'm a barber and I have my own clientele as opposed to I'm a barber, but I also own the barber shop, right? And maybe I'm stepping away from cutting hair, and now I have maybe 5 chairs in this retail spot, and I'm renting out those chairs to other barbers, right? So I'm managing the process. Maybe I'm managing the marketing and making sure that we have people coming in, and now I'm just running the business. Again, that is some different examples of really what we mean between being a solopreneur and being an entrepreneur.
I would imagine at this point, right, like some of the folks that are listening, like maybe you're at the point where you're like, all right, I know I got this skill set. I know I got this side hustle. I hear you guys. You're talking about monetizing. Y'all have been running your mouth about the importance of, starting your business. The time is now. I've listened to all of the cold brewing combos, so I'm there with you. But I didn't see myself as an entrepreneur, but the solopreneur concept that you're mentioning does resonate a lot more with me. But I need to understand the benefit of it, like the value of it. And so when we really take a step back and you start to assess the benefits of being a solopreneur, there's really like four that stand out, that are distinct. Now, obviously, there's probably some additional ones, but the ones that immediately come to mind, and we'll start with, is first and foremost is that as a solopreneur, you are in control. Like a lot of the folks, a lot of the examples we provided that are solopreneurs are, again, freelancers, folks that depend on client. They can control their book of business. So you pick what opportunities you decide to do. You're making that decision, right? If I have somebody who's reaching out to me for web-related services, hey, I need somebody to make a website for me, and I know how to do that. I can make you a website, a retail website from soup to nuts, end to end in 4 hours, including personalized bios, photos, carts, the whole nine. I can do that in 4 hours. And so now I have folks that are reaching out to me because maybe I've set up on one of these marketplaces where I can advertise that, hey, I have this skill set, and I can do this task for you. I get to determine what my book of business is going to be. I can determine the opportunities that align with what I want to do or what I don't want to do. Maybe I have clients that are a little bit too difficult. So I say, hey, you know what? That doesn't interest me. I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So you have the flexibility of control. The other thing is, when it comes to making decisions around your business, like, we get it. Sometimes it can be challenging in certain instances, it can be challenging to navigate having to make decisions collectively around things. Fortunately for us, we have the experience of rapport and relationship and a passion for entrepreneurship and business. And so, we kind of have the right, ingredients to make this gumbo work. But it's not lost on us that there are other folks, we've gone through it even ourselves, where we've, attempted this with other individuals, and the challenges of trying to make decisions in those instances with other folks where maybe you don't see eye to eye, right? And so, having the benefit of being a solopreneur means you don't have to navigate that. The decision, lives and stops with you, right? As one of our famous former presidents, right? The buck stops with me. And so you have that benefit of the additional control. And obviously, I love that you mentioned, like, a lot of folks are self-employed, because, this control is really what most, non-self-employed individuals do not get to enjoy on their regular job, their regular 9 to 5. This freedom is honestly what entices a lot of folks to look to become a solopreneur, to be able to gain more freedom, not just over their money, but more importantly, over their time. And so that's the first real benefit of being a solopreneur, is, the ability to exercise that control, fully own that control when it comes to your money, when it comes to your time, when it comes to your book of business, as you are, monetizing your skill sets.
Yeah, you just had me think of something, and the title of this podcast is the Uncompromising Entrepreneur, right? So I know our listeners and our viewers out there, our audience, you are doing everything that you can to execute with excellence on your business and the products and services that you provide. A word of caution, again, and I'll explain the example that I heard this morning. As a solopreneur, you are in control. I encourage and implore you, don't take advantage of that, in the sense that now it starts to affect your customer service, and it affects the customers themselves, right? So the example I'm talking about, I was at the barbershop this morning. There was another gentleman in there, who's going to get cut up, but he was also going to be going someplace else to get his hair braided. And, they were talking about he was supposed to be there at a particular time, but this lady, she's like always late and always running behind. And he was like, to me, being on time is being early. But he says, even if I'm late, I'm still early for her, right? And then she'll get there and then starts like eating food or something like that. And I've just seen a number of situations where, again, this solopreneur, they take advantage and that whole aspect of I'm in control and I'm in control of my time. They take it to the extreme where it's not the best experience that you're creating for your customers. And hopefully that they're not just customers, like this is your community, like this is your tribe, right? And these are the people that you're looking to help spread that positive word of mouth, so that hopefully maybe you feel like, hey, I'm good, I don't need any other clients. But as time progresses, like you're going to want to have new people coming in, right? So again, I know our uncompromising entrepreneurs and solopreneurs out there are not conducting themselves in their business in that way. But that example was just in my mind as you were saying that from this morning. That people just they take advantage, man. So and it's not a good thing to do so. So number one was that you are in control. Number two, and this is kind of a little segue from the example I just gave, is that you get to make all the decisions. It's interesting that you mentioned, kind of our situation, because I was thinking about that too. We do have the benefit of just this, our past, this rock solid friendship and brotherhood that we have, and our personalities are there's definitely differences, but there's enough similarities that it makes the decision-making process easier. But hey, as we continue to grow this thing and it continues to pop off, I'm sure there's going to be times where, we may butt heads or just like, we're not necessarily agreeing, and we're going to have to work through that. Well, as a solopreneur, you get to make all the decisions. You don't have to butt heads. You don't have to worry about any of that. And I think folks that find themselves in that space may feel like that's like one of the best things about being a solopreneur, is that you are the only person in charge of this business. So you get to make all of the big decisions, all of the small decisions. Now, if you're bad at making decisions, right, maybe you're a little indecisive, then there might be some business arrangements that you may need to look into to kind of help yourself along. But again, for those who do not want to answer to anyone, being a solopreneur may be a great option for you. I appreciate the fact, though, that not just that we get to share, because if you're making all the decisions, right, you have to live with those decisions. And not that it's about blame, but it's knowing that, hey, like we share that responsibility and that accountability for the decisions that we make. As a solopreneur, it's all on you. If they're great decisions, fantastic. If they're not so great decisions, or maybe they could have been more effective, again, you're going to have to take the brunt of that responsibility and any possible negative consequences that may come of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you said, it's definitely not about blame and by any stretch of the imagination. But when you aspire to build something big, you have to be able to build a big vision, and the opportunity to partner with somebody who has a different perspective but a similar passion.
Yes.
Right. Different perspective but a similar passion allows us to collaborate and create something that was grander than what any of us could conceive individually. Now, obviously that works for us because we came into this thing with a very clear vision of being entrepreneurs. And the way I like to think about it is, if you're firmly committed to being a solopreneur, you're likely building out a business for yourself where you own everything, but you're not going to turn it over to somebody. Like this is not going to be something you pass down. Yeah. Usually it's a very niche skill that you've been able to master, and unless your child decides to be an instructional designer too, and you want to pass over your book of business, that business is probably going to start and end with you in terms of whenever you decide to exit. Where if you're looking to be an entrepreneur, us as an example, we're the ones that are owner operators right now with the long-term plan of just being owners. That means mastering this coaching methodology, bringing on other certified coaches, certifying them ourselves, showing them how to manage the book of business, showing them, and then going out and having them execute on the playbook that we've refined and mastered over our time grinding and doing this thing, right? And so with that, again, if you're a solopreneur, you're making all the decisions that shape what that business, that individual business, that solopreneur venture really looks like. The other thing I think about, with that too, because I know some of our listeners out there saying, well, hey, you told me I can be a solopreneur on the path to being an entrepreneur. Find a way to monetize the skill set I have now, and then take those, that revenue, take that money and reinvest it into building out what I'm building as an entrepreneur. And you absolutely can. I think the other real benefit here, not just about decision making, but kind of tied into that, is it allows you to refine as a future entrepreneur your processes. Like, it's almost like it's like an incubator as a solopreneur, right? Because I've done this myself, and kind of like what we're even experiencing a little bit here, where we're refining our processes, we're refining our methodology, we're refining our expectations, we're refining our marketing tips and tricks and strategies. We're doing all of that as an incubator, knowing that when we start to put together a team, they're going to get the benefit of our experimentation and then being able to pass that on. So for our solopreneurs that are working towards entrepreneurship, look at what you're doing as that as well. It's not just monetizing the skill set you have now until you can get the money up to get your LLC and build your website and do all of this other stuff and build this brand and build a team. This is also an incubator for you. I know a couple of entrepreneurs that have, for example, they starting a cleaning business, where they were the owner or the operator. That means they were booking clients, showing up to people's houses, putting on the gloves and doing the work themselves. And through that process, they refined their cleaning process. They refined their contracts documentation. They refined their e-commerce site, their marketing. And then they took that, and then they got to a point where now, okay, I can hire technicians, cleaning technicians. Now, I don't clean a property. I do the walkthroughs to make sure things are getting done, but I have people who clean properties. And because I've mastered my process and I've been able to scale a cleaning business from me putting on the gloves to now, me having technicians, now I can also build out a parallel business of consulting with other folks that desire to build a cleaning business and selling them my processes and my methodologies. So there's a lot of power in the decision-making process, not just as a solopreneur. If you say, hey, I don't want to have to deal with other personalities and I want to own 100% of the decisions, right? The buck stops with me. But there's also the benefit of being able to make decisions around your business, refining your processes and experimentation, using that as an incubator to set yourself up for a seamless transition. I say seamless with quotation marks, because there's nothing seamless about building out a business, but a smoother transition into entrepreneurship, because you have the benefit of all these things that you've learned as a solopreneur. Honestly, it's the same thing that makes some really, really great or experienced players become effective coaches, because they've gone through that grind and they have this years of experience that they can leverage when they get into a position to coach and to help others, to say, hey, let me show the processes that have worked for me. Right. And so I would just really encourage our solopreneurs, as you go on this journey, don't just revel in the power, quote unquote, the power that comes with the decision making, but the potential that comes with the decision making, what that means for refining your processes and potentially setting yourself up for entrepreneurial success if you aspire to turn the solo venture into an entrepreneurial endeavor as you transition from owner-operator to just owner.
Facts. I just want to circle back, because I really appreciate the example that you gave about the person who starts this cleaning business and they're the only one. Because prior to that, I was thinking about a couple of gentlemen that I know, one that still owns and one that owned their own lawn maintenance business, right? So it was just them. So there's, if you find the right persons, and one did this, he sold his lawn maintenance business. Again, he sold the book of business, the equipment, the contracts, and stuff like that. So there, depending on the type of business that you're in, there are opportunities to sell that off, even as a solopreneur. And I think the one thing too, you may have employees, right? Because I'm thinking about, again, the example that you gave, and now I'm hiring technicians. With the processes that you have in place and being able to have all of those things established, it's going to make it easier for them to make some maybe less impactful decisions throughout the day. But essentially, you're still making all of the decisions for the business itself, right? Because you are the owner operator of that business, as opposed to having a partner, or maybe now you have a manager that is managing those decisions. Then, you're starting to relinquish some of the responsibility and the control. But again, the good thing about that, right, is that now you're starting to scale in a different way, especially if you're going to say, okay, I'm taking this experience and now I'm going to start coaching people as well. You may be very passionate about lawn maintenance, or what you're able to do in helping people and cleaning homes and doing those type of things. So now I have an opportunity to teach other people how to do this and start their business themselves. And now my impact, right, continues to grow because I'm able to do those things with the expertise and all of the processes and procedures, that you mentioned, being able to build up as time progresses. So really cool when again, you just kind of start to think of all of these different aspects and avenues that a person can venture down should they choose to. The next benefit might be one of the biggest things that people really, really appreciate about being a solopreneur. So number 3 is just the fact that you get to keep the profits. It's just you, right? So solopreneurs often, they don't have the same costs as other businesses. So talking about being a freelance, designer, instructional designer, or if you're a graphic designer, thinking about being a coach, especially these days, again, with how everything is primarily virtual, you don't have to have an office. You can coach people virtually. As a graphic designer, again, you can find yourself with your own website, or being on one of these other sites, where you can advertise your services. So these are all things that you can do very easily. And again, because of that, the fact that the cost is so low, you're able to even bring in more profit and keep all of that because it's just you. So you no rent, no employees, no payroll taxes. You don't have to worry about benefits. All of those things, again, are things that are not on your plate. So all of that profit is coming into your pocket.
Yeah, like as a solopreneur, a lot of these opportunities come down to finding ways to monetize your sunk costs. And when we talk about like sunk costs, what we're essentially saying, if you guys aren't familiar with that term, is this is the cost of running your business or being a solopreneur that would exist whether you had one client or 100 clients. And so that's what makes it attractive from a profit perspective, because for example, right, I'm a content creator, maybe I build websites, graphic design or whatever the case may be, but the cost of my computer is paid. Like once I buy the computer, I've bought the computer. Mm-hmm. Once I've bought the software, whether it's Photoshop, Canva, whatever the case may be, I've bought the software. The cost to use the computer or the software does not change whether I have 0 clients or if I get 100 clients. So my cost of doing business is sunk. And so if I can get more clients and leverage what I've already paid for to generate revenue, now I'm building up my profit base. Unlike maybe as an entrepreneur, maybe I'm in a retail space. And so as I sell more product, that also means that my cost is going up in parallel to some extent, because I still have to secure goods. I still have to handle shipping. I still have to, now that I'm scaling, now I have to invest additional money in marketing costs. And so now you have this variable cost that you have to balance as an entrepreneur at times, that depending on what's going on in the marketplace, that equation, that part of the equation could change, and very quickly the algebra, the calculus changes what your profit intake looks like. If the cost of my team is the cost of my team, and they're on a fixed rate, it doesn't matter if we sell one shirt or if we sell 100 shirts. I still got to pay them their salary. It doesn't matter if we deal with supply chain issues and now I have to find a new supplier, a new vendor, and the new vendor is costing me 5 cents more per item. Like, I can't change anything in terms of my people's pay. I still have to pay them their salary, right? And so you have those added complexities at times as an entrepreneur, depending on what business you're in, where that profit equation just looks a little bit different. And for some folks, maybe you just don't have an appetite to deal with that yet. Maybe you're not at the space where you feel like, all right, I'm established, I'm good, and now I'm ready to build something out and bring on a team and take on the responsibility that comes with entrepreneurship and building a team. And so I just want to do my solopreneur thing. I want to, take my $500 set of clippers, and just personal grooming items, and get as many people in my chair as possible, so that I reap back the cost of my chair and the cost of my items, and everything after that is going into my pocket. It don't have to go nowhere else. And maybe that's what's really attractive to you. So that's actually part of the reason why, knowing that a lot of times as a solopreneur, when you're doing solopreneur type activities where you can accelerate your profit intake, for lack of a better term, we encourage folks that are looking to become entrepreneurs to transition that way, because that's a really good way to fund your business. Not just start funding the building out your business, but also starting to build your brand and building your reputation, because people know, all right, this person is good with clippers, or good with braiding, they're good with websites, they're good with building out and scaling podcasts. And now that they've gotten to the point where they've monetized enough, they already have an established brand reputation and a track record or a portfolio of, hey, I've done all this work, and now I've taught other people how to do it, so I can replicate this model and have people do it in multiple places or with multiple clients. And now it's a business, and I don't have to physically do these things myself because I taught people my system, and that system has credibility based off of the work that I did. Now you're in a different position to scale your business as an entrepreneur. So there's just a lot of benefits from a profit perspective. So I can completely get it why people will be attracted to that third benefit of being a solopreneur.
That's why it is so important to kiss it. Keep it simple and systematic. I think about people that we've met, that we've had conversations with, and sometimes they're afraid to take the business to the next level because they feel like the business is me, which has me thinking about market research and week 2 that we have the fellas in. You are not the business. Like, you should be working in the business and hopefully getting yourself to a spot where you're working on the business, but you don't want to really get to a point where you are the business, and if you're not doing this work, nothing else can be done, right? So I think about the gentleman that I met when we took the trip to New York and did the tours. But maybe that's the spot that you're in and you're so passionate about what you do. But the point I really wanted to make is that if you don't set up processes, it's going to make it that much more challenging to hire somebody, even if it's just a virtual assistant, right, to handle some of those processes, because you don't have anything written down, you don't have anything diagrammed out or just captured on how you're taking those steps. If you want to possibly sell it, even in the future, having all of those processes is going to make it even that much more compelling to a potential owner, buyer, looking at securing that business from you. And it's just the efficiency that comes as well with having your processes and procedures in place, and knowing the steps that you're going to take for certain tasks to get them done, and again, get them done efficiently, which again, that leads very well into our last benefit. We're giving you 4 benefits of being a solopreneur. The 4th one is the fact that you can outsource. Like, again, you don't have to have paid employees but you can outsource. While most of the work of the solopreneur business is done by the individual, there are some things that come up that maybe you're not knowledgeable about, or you realize, getting back to 80/20, you can go back and check out one of those videos on our YouTube channel as well. It's how do I make sure I'm focusing on the 20% of the tasks that are going to get me 80% of the results in my business. If it doesn't fall into that 20%, then maybe it's something that I can give and outsource to someone else so that they can get those tasks done for me. Things are going to get in the way, life gets in the way, and sometimes all of these different things that you're trying to do will make it a little bit more challenging. So again, it's super possible, especially nowadays, to be able to outsource some of that work. We've been talking about being a freelancer, so maybe that's not the type of solopreneur you are, but you need a logo. You need somebody to do the website. Yeah, I can learn about maybe WordPress and stuff like that, but there's people that you can go to be able to outsource that work so you don't have to worry about it yourself. And also, you may be super intelligent. Yeah, you can watch videos, you can Google stuff and learn, but allow the experts to be the experts in what they do. And then again, you focus on the 20% that are really going to get you the 80% of results that you're looking for in your business.
No, well said, man. Like, we've talked about this before, but our most valuable resource as a solopreneur and entrepreneur is our time. Yes. And so, I can invest the time in figuring out how to do this, but that's taking away time from the other areas I've already mastered. Mm-hmm. And so, do I want to spend 60 hours figuring out WordPress, or do I want to pay somebody who's figured out how to do it in 4 hours from end to end? What is that? What is my net gain? What is my net gain? Because we talk about profit. Mm-hmm. So don't just think of profit in terms of money in your pocket, but also take that same thought process and methodology towards time. Right. So what is my profit pickup in terms of time in that situation? Well, it would have took me 60 hours to figure it out myself. Somebody did it in 4, so I picked up 56 hours of productivity. What can I do playing in my space for just 56 hours? What does that mean, right, for my business, for my brand, the whole nine? The other thing I love too about outsourcing, kind of going back to the theme of time being our most valuable resource and the skill sets that we've developed, is I don't know at what point we've gotten away from this, but I want to remind our entrepreneurs, our solopreneurs out there, that bartering is a viable way to get services done. If I know that Jimmie is SEO marketing guru, he knows how to market effectively in order to drive awareness and to drive traffic, but Jimmie does not have maybe the graphic design chops that I've developed in terms of website design and logo design. Why wouldn't I offer up my services in website and logo design in exchange for his services in marketing? And I've outsourced an area that's not an area of expertise for me. He's outsourced an area that's not an area of expertise for him to myself. We've gotten the profit of the net benefit of time because we're focused on the areas that we're masters in that only take us 4, 5, 6 hours to execute on. And we're not spending 60, 70 hours trying to learn how to do something else. And I was able to do so without dipping into my monetary profit of having to pay for the service, and vice versa. It was a mutually beneficial relationship. And if you listen to our last podcast episode, our MBA series with with Lewis, he actually talks about this and hints at it, where some of his early relationships in terms of getting established as somebody who has a proven process for building and scaling podcasts, is he was doing it for free. With the exchange, with the barter of you have a large audience of individuals that you have email access to in terms of your email list. You've mastered your click funnel. I don't have a click funnel. I would have to learn how to build my funnel out. I can, instead of spending 60 hours figuring out my funnel, I can spend 5 hours building your podcast infrastructure, which you don't have. And it would take you, maybe 2 weeks to figure out how to do. I can do for you in 6 hours, and you can give me the benefit of your click funnel. and we both benefit mutually from the relationship. So when we think about outsourcing, it's not just about how you can leverage outsourcing in order to get things done that you may not necessarily be an expert in, but it's also about how do you leverage outsourcing to build your business, to build your reputation, to build your brand, to start to barter or do other work, leveraging your skill sets, because there's a value on it. Like, keep in mind, like, we keep coming back to this theme of monetizing your skill set. Right? That's a way to monetize it. Yeah, they may not cut the $400 check for you to do the website. Well, that's fine, because they gave you $400 worth of services in an area that you're not an expert in. That's going to pay dividends tenfold on what you've been trying to build as a solopreneur. And so I just really wanted to make sure that, like, I stress that and pass that word on about the true benefits of outsourcing as a solopreneur. And the challenge are solopreneurs or entrepreneurs out there that are listening to think about that relationship just a little bit differently. Don't let the fact that you don't have $400, $300, $200 for a service, prevent you from reaching out, engaging, and if you know that's important for your business, going down the path of exploring how do you get it done. You just have to be creative in your thinking about, well, what do I have to offer? I don't have $200 cash, but I have $200 of knowledge and skill set and expertise in this space that you don't, and I can help you out, and it can be mutually beneficial.
Yeah, so powerful. Just that ability to network. I like what you said about bartering, and what I'm excited about with the gentleman in our alpha test, as well as we get to the next week or so, is really taking a look at those partnerships that you have with other individuals. So it's not necessarily bartering, but those joint ventures. Where, like you said, you have a list, you have this, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 people, on your email list, and I want to get, my ebook or this free offer that I have in front of them. And again, being able to set up those partnerships that allow you to, like you mentioned, grow your business, get in front of other audiences, and scale in different ways when you have those joint ventures, not a partnership, right? But these joint ventures that you have that allow you to really take advantage of that, and again, continue to grow and scale your business as you move forward. So for our uncompromising entrepreneurs, again, these were just some of the benefits that you can enjoy when it comes to being a solopreneur. Now, with the right mindset and a great idea and time management, but I'm starting to get away from kind of that term, not necessarily time management, but behavior management and discipline management. With those things on your side, you can become your own boss, and you can enjoy all of the benefits, the 4 that we just mentioned, and all the other additional benefits of being a solopreneur. So we definitely hope that this was beneficial to you and that you got something out of it. Again, for our uncompromising entrepreneurs out there, and we just thank you for listening and for investing time with us, whether you're listening or you're watching. Again, please show us some love, comment, like, and share. If you want to reach out to us, you can always go to uncompromisingcoaches.com. If you would like to email us or set up a consultation, you would be able to do so via our website. Again, for our gentlemen out there, you can always connect with us within our Facebook group, the Uncompromising Entrepreneurs, plural group. And of course, follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and our YouTube channel at the Uncompromising Entrepreneur Podcast. So we are just getting started, ladies and gentlemen, with solopreneur success in this next, series of podcast episodes that we're going to be doing through the month of September. Be on the lookout for the next episode, which is going to be episode 59. Devon was mentioning side hustle a couple of times within this conversation in this episode. So we're going to give you 4 tips for turning that side hustle into a solopreneur business, and help you out if that is what you're looking to do in the near future. So again, be on the lookout for that. Thank you again for listening, for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode's edutainment as I broke some things down with my partner, my homeboy, Stefan Jobs.
Yeah, Stefan Jobs, and then with your fresh cut, your ghost from Power.
Yeah.
But the Spanish ghost.
The Spanish ghost, yes.
Or you Fantismo or something.
The Puerto Rican ghost. There we go. So We thank y'all. We appreciate you guys so much. Again, until next time, God bless y'all.
Stay encouraged.
You have just listened to the Uncompromising Entrepreneur Podcast, hosted by Jimmie Gonzalez and Devon Watts. Thank you, and we hope that you pursue your passion, create profits, and build a legacy. Until next time, y'all.